My name is Beta Rock, and together we can change the world. You have an inalienable right as part of participating with Beta Rock Church that you have a question to ask yourself. Have you been heard? It's important to go to church and be heard. Bible verse about Jesus going after the one lost sheep, leaving 99 behind. Right there sits uh, with the deep care and concern that I believe in deeply myself. I've been to church a lot in life, and how many times have I been heard in church? I mean, like in church, never. Like in counseling, okay, but not in church, and that is not right. That is not right. I continue to listen to Martin Luther, Tommy Nelson talking about Martin Luther and the Reformation, and he just, what did he say? 95 Theses. I just got back from my run, and that was one of the last things that he mentioned. And I probably listened to that one 3 or 4 times now, and I'll keep on listening. And I don't know. I just want it to be ingrained in my mind. But every time, it's just like each of these historical events comes along and people make change. I mean, you can say, well, the Catholic people didn't know what they were doing, but can we see the church as a present day Catholic church that doesn't know what they're doing? Yeah. I mean, and I posted on some kind of pastor website, nobody commented, you know. So that means they didn't watch or think or whatever. But the bottom line is, what do people, I just don't care, because the bottom line, like Martin Luther, it made him mad. I think the main thing that Tommy Nelson said with Martin Luther is they were selling indulgences. I think that was ways to get out of hell, and just the what did he say? What was the word? He had a good word to describe corruption. It just wasn't right, and neither is the way church is today. One of those things is, have you been heard? I mean, besides even theology, is this just some kind of an event that you go to and hey, isn't that a good smile? Hey, that is, yeah, he must be friendly. We're in church now. We're going to sing songs. But did they ever really interact with the person? No. That ain't going to be the way it is with Beta Rock Church. I posted this morning about t-shirt ideas, and I have a whole list. This is what I did. Can you see this list? These are my notes at work while I was working. I'd think of stuff, and pretty much down here in this section, right down in here, all my t-shirt ideas. That was fun. I think they are super good. And I thought about $55, and I thought maybe we'll get Beta Rock and the logo on the sleeve, like with, what do you call that, embroidery or stitched nice. I don't know what these sayings. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. I guess that'll be screen print, but I don't know. All I know is it's gonna be $55. This is, we don't mess around here. We're not looking necessarily to get people. I mean, I am, but it's the bar is high right out of the gate with everything. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it right. If you don't want to be in, fine. I'll wave to you from heaven while you're in hell. Does your church? It's a motorcycle. I don't know if you can hear it as loud as I could. Does your church do Matthew 18? Probably not. I'd give it almost as surely not. Do you have a Bible, and can you open it up to Hebrews 10? Let's just do it right now together. Hebrews 10, 26 to 31. Do you believe that the Bible is the inerrant word of God? Which part of this do you not believe? Okay. Look, you can't win this fight. What you do need to do is change and go to Beta Rock Church. Or you might go to hell. I mean, do you do Matthew 18? This is how it spins around, I'm telling you. I'm just saying it confidently, because that's like Martin Luther. Like, dude, this is sola scriptura, whatever that Latin. 10, 26, 26. If we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received the knowledge, those are the two things. Do you continually keep on sinning? Do you continually not do Matthew 18? After you've received the knowledge, okay, so then you know that you should because it's in the Bible. What are you going to say here? You don't believe that part? I mean, okay, well then fine, I'll see you in hell. Okay. No sacrifice for sin is left, but only a fearful expectation of judgment and of raging fire that will consume the enemies of God. Should I say it with a frown? Anyone who rejected the law of Moses died without the mercy of the testimony of two or three witnesses. How much more severely do you think someone deserves to be punished who has trampled the Son of God underfoot, who has treated as an unholy thing the blood of the covenant that sanctified them, and who has insulted the Spirit of grace? For we know him who said, "It is mine to avenge, I will repay." And again, the Lord will judge his people. It is a dreadful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Trust me. Trust me. Try it. I simply decided that I'm done sinning to the best of my ability. I mean, I really don't. I really don't. Okay. I had to give up some doozies. Email me, beta@betarock.com, and I'll fill you in on different ones that are, I don't want to get into right now. Nice format. Like, don't get rid of that. All that does is have flowery and words of encouragement. It's an encouraging thing. No, the Bible is scary. The Bible is scary. If you don't get this right, you're going to hell forever. Gnashing of teeth, fire, place you don't want to be forever, forever. I've been in jail, and that was only for 6 months. We're going to talk about my reflections on jail. I don't necessarily not want to be. I don't necessarily want to be mean, but come on now, what's better, to tell you the truth? I mean, what are you going to say? Tell me you don't believe. I mean, come on. I'm waiting. Beta@betarock.com. You can chat probably over here like an my screen. It's right down in here. Place to chat. This is a text. John 3:8. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. It's a Bible verse. This then is my prayer. Lord, may I be your wind here now. In Jesus' name, amen. So this morning, let's see if I can piece this together. I got notes, so let's see. I got a lot of notes. This is probably going to be multiple. We'll see how it goes. I had fun remembering stuff. It was kind of fun, and then I went on to thinking about some other stuff. But Charles Stanley this morning was talking about. He talked about Exodus, and somehow that made me think about this passage, Exodus 1:9. Exodus 1:9, he said to his people, "Look, the Israelite people are more numerous, and here's the thing, more powerful than we." So Israel was being oppressed, and they put him into slavery. We don't want that. So I was put into jail. Okay? But now in my work, literally, I am getting very strong. Am I strong of character? I don't say I want to be the America's pastor or am America's pastor till somebody else dethrones me or wants to go to some kind of let's have a competition, American Idol or whatever. Okay. King of the world with lowercase k. Some of that's why I gave up some of my hardest sins to give up. It's just a story, testimony. I haven't had a lot of chance to really deeply interact with people, but I have, and I put things out there, and we'll see. I'm in no rush with this, but I have gotten strong. I could tell you a story. Email me today. I'm not getting into that right now, but it's a good story. Really interesting, really vibrant. Beta@betarock.com. I'll tell you about it. Joseph was in jail. Definitely, really, truly, he is the Bible character in this whole jailing, and some of even that he became second in command and different things. His story was what most everybody preached to me in the middle of some of these hardest times. I still think of him. Peter in Acts 12 was in jail, freed Jericho, and the walls fell down. When I was in jail, that was some of the praying that we did. Psalm 13, when, God, when? They have their place. I made notes about this too. Let's just go through it. I tried to pull up over here on my screen to see when the chronology, because sometimes, like the one pastor here that I talked to not super long ago, he didn't he still was he's suspicious of me. Okay, you know. But when are the dates? And so I tried to. How many times? That's hard to know. I think. Let's see. One. Well, one overnight, and then one where I was in Colorado, and then had to come back in a white van. What do you call that? An extradite? Oh, it took like 3 weeks out there till they got it all straightened out. And then one time in the middle of the night, and then I'm like, I thought we'd be sitting up and different things. No, we were shoved in the back of a van, like where they took out the bench. And I think maybe once, then I got taken from the back into a place with a seat, got jammed in there. These different stories. Maybe we'll go as slow as we want. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, every one of these is. Then there was some gap. And then there was in Dauphin County, I went down I called the police and I'm like, okay, so what do I do here? Come on. He was polite. Okay, so I went down, did the whole thing, leave. Then I did that again. That was another, I don't even think that was an overnight either then. And then I went before a judge and 3 months. I call that really jail one, at least in the tail end of this. And then since that didn't quite do it, I went again for another 3 months, almost to the day, I think. It's been, I think in July, that'll be a year. So it hasn't even been a year since that all has been done. So when I think about, what does this mean? I think the main thing, well, anyway, I got all sorts of notes, and I think every one of these stories is interesting. This is not meant to glamorize jail. I thought of that, and I mean, it basically jail is really boring. And for me, it had an almost unbearable reality that my business was falling apart, and I wanted to hold my life together, but I couldn't do anything. I mean, you can't do anything in there. You can, but it's super difficult. So, did God do like Peter did in Acts 12, where the cuffs came off? Was there some kind of triumphant liberation of a saint? No, no, at least not like that. Jericho, did the walls fall down? Nope. Why? Why? Were our prayers off? Yeah, yeah. Anybody wants to pray to get out. But the way I look at it is really the Abba Father Godness, to God's, love in this. To know me in the situation and to simply do all of it as an act of love. I mean, I was paying, there's a price to be paid for sin, and that how these dynamics fit together. So there was a justice here. That's how I see this. But to really making it better, one of my best attributes is my ability to work hard. And I did. And is that a tragic flaw? I don't know. But the only way that you were going to keep me from overcoming all of it to try and rebuild again was to shove me into a room and lock the door. I mean, when I think about it, because I had determination to overcome, and I did. There was a jail one and a jail two. And in some ways I tried again, but by then things were just, I'm done. It made too much sense. The salty songbook and having a life on the sandy land. I mean, that made sense. So basically, now I'm just living off. My last name is Rock, for crying out loud. I mean, I got to legally change it. I mean, there's all this yet to be done, but that's the way I'm living, and I know that it's biblically based. Whether it works out or not, we'll see. But that's not the point. I'm just trusting and trusting and trusting. And I see and feel God's hand in all of it. Really, really. I was thinking running. Maybe we'll get to the details. And that's why I trust this thing about where the wind blows. I try to just go with what comes in my head. Keep it, hopefully it's entertaining. And I told this lady this morning, like jail. Like, do you, when I say that, do you understand? I mean, what do I strike you as somebody that would be in jail? No, like I think the exact opposite of the kind of person that would go to jail. So the very first night that I mean, all of this, I mean, it's mind boggling for me to think back on all of this. But to finish the story, this lady, I'm just like, I mean, come on, I would like to hear feedback. Like, this is somebody I just met recently. What is that? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Is it just nothing? I mean, I guess it's just nothing. I don't know. It wasn't nothing when I was going through it. Running. I thought, this isn't what I thought about when I was at work. I was thinking of the different stories and the people I met. You'll hear them stories. But I thought probably the single most theological change, I continue to just lean into this. It all started with Matthew 18. Really, just I think that everything just perking. How do you put this together into a systematic theology, a thought, a lifestyle? And when you lean into that, I think it basically comes down to that to do Matthew 18 in our culture, you have to be so committed to doing what the Bible says because you are going to face extreme resistance. So the only way that you'd be, say, crazy enough to do it is if you actually believe the Bible. I mean, to the depth. And then what that makes your mind required to do to get you into these places. I'm simply just watching how my mind goes with John MacArthur and the like. And part of that is election. And part of that means that we don't really have much. God is in control. Trying to figure out some bounds or being able to articulate it, I'm just will to me. But as I was running and I'm coming around, what kind of base might that be? Somewhere between second and third into the journey of what I do in this one loop. I thought, this is interesting because I have such a peace here when the painful things that I have to sacrifice. Why did jail happen? Because I wasn't getting my way. Okay. To the depth of things that they make movies about. Ransom, Mel Gibson. Anybody would be upset, angry. So judges signed off on the last, got to go to anger management. Yeah, we get it. I mean, that's basically what they're saying. That's what I think. Oh yeah, we get it. You're totally effed over. Oh yeah, we understand. So this is look. They somehow everybody blames somebody else. I'm just a judge. I don't know. They do some strange things, and that's why I got to be the king of the whole wide world to straighten this out. But I think that's where I mostly sit because when I think about even now, just even today, getting a shower back from the run, am I happy? And even some of the details, and I am restricted by law yet today to talk clearly to what I mean. You can email me, bader@baderrock.com. But it hurts, and it hurts just tremendously. But there is a peace in my heart you could say and hope and different things you can try to do to find places of uh, being like able to stand or walk around or get a shower, take care in the midst of that pain and anger. And they didn't really work. Hoping in Joseph, Psalm 31, and identifying, no, there's something deeper here that I think it all just sits at, that it's out of my hands by a sovereign election God. To make it that clear, I can't control the people that are involved, and they may go to hell. Should I let me they may go to hell. When I take a Hebrews 10:26 to 31 and line it up against individuals and things that are in this story, judges, whoever you want to throw into this, does that make sense? For there to be an idea that somewhere along the way, some particular person that did such wrong here, somebody at work said to me, he said, "This is bullshit." That's what he said. And we got ear things and we can't really talk to each other. I wanted him to hear. I said, "No, I want you to know this isn't bullshit. I mean, it is. But I said, it is wrong. I mean, it is wrong. It's wrong." When I was back from work, getting together my supper and eating, again, just these thoughts. It's just like just thinking about this election and this theology that just owns that God sends people to hell in the Hebrews 10:26. That not some prayer that you prayed in some kind of camp meeting or some kind of something somewhere along the way that you're now in the club, easy believism. You see me fold my hands. Come on now. But to sin and to know and to keep on sinning, that's abuse. And that's what I endured along with this. So for God in his loving hand to know that the only way, okay, to really get this all kind of straightened out is to put that young man in jail. Okay. I buy it. To buy into the reality that that's what the Bible talks about. Election. Listen to John MacArthur. I like the ones I did. I got someone the effectual call. But it just gives a peace of mind, even for the ones that I love the most, to simply be resolved that, look, God is mean, and these are his rules. And this certainly gives a certain level of justice to the situation. That doesn't mean that I'm not, when Jesus died on the cross, can I say it? The aspect of forgiveness and the English words, this is what so I think that's basically it, that there is an overarching, that's where the attributes of God and my study of how things fit together into the Bible. How could I not be a Bible major before? Why did it take till age 45 to get all this? Because I treated it like a math book, and it is in ways, but English and words and language have various meanings. So you can say forgiveness when Jesus died, but then how do you argue this? And I got stuck in that when I did this Beta Rock message 2 days ago, and this is how I've concluded it. Okay, that things like the attributes, you can't, when you see things in the Bible about God changing his mind, you have to shift that into an attribute understanding that that the powerful God does not change. So then these things become, so you can look at that and say, no, he changed his mind, but there are ways to take that scenarios and shift it around to say, no, this is just a way of articulating. So forgiveness, Jesus is going to say forgive. Well, I'd say that too. Or really like with Moses in the Old Testament, it's different things. God, forgive them. Don't wipe them out. But to act the actual pure event of healthy forgiveness starts with confession, to owning the wrong. And then there's change. Okay, and then maybe like a 12-step process, and making amends, okay, paying a price. And we see this all wrapped up into the doctrines, okay? Propitiation, expiation, atonement. So the fact that Jesus said what he said on the cross does not invalidate the overarching reality of God's divine justice. So he was speaking, Jesus then is speaking into an aspect, but not as a comprehensive theology that leads very much into just grace, the easy believism. And we just turn the other cheek and everything is always fine because we love. So when somebody's abusing, nope. Okay. That is the theology behind not going to jail anymore. That's the theology behind keeping the pain in a place where it's just out of my hands to the ultimate levels. I'm looking at my notes. Some really, these notes are just here and there, and I could go all around. Maybe I'll put a cross mark through the ones that we go through. I'm looking now, we got 26 minutes in. Let me do that. Give me a second here. Oh. Something fun has been happening. I think it's fun. It hasn't materialized all the way to be as fun as I'd like, but I'm like, do I say this? What I preached into yesterday about having relationships, and I think I'm going to say, I said to somebody, I said, maybe I ought to have a girlfriend here. Yeah, it's all right to say this. Because inside of the things I can't talk about, I'm thinking out of, I think I'm so good at not getting in trouble anymore around this. But I shy into these things because this is not like it was before. There's different phases here. Mary Magdalene, and this is an evolution of really the same thing, but it didn't go right last summer. Wrong last summer. Wrong. I'm going to try. Limit. Here it is. We're skipping around. This wasn't, so much was me putting God into a box, but this verse here, I just really liked it. Ugh. This is a translation problem. Yep, we're just gonna go slow. I want you to hear these words because I was like, that's so interesting. I don't like the NIV's way, so let's see if I can pull this up. Psalm 71:15. Psalm 71:15. My mouth shall tell of your righteousness and your salvation all the day, for I do not know their limits. That struck me. Because essentially being on the rock means I'm going to stay here, and it's a trust. I'm gonna trust God no matter what. I'm looking at the 8 dimensions of wellness, and not wanting to be lonely, being social, girlfriends, honoring the past, being true. And that is just what what did I write down? But that's it. So look, if I trust into God, look, here's a thing that you just never even would have ever done or thought possible. ask anything beyond what you can ask, think, or imagine. Let's find that verse. But the psalm was another way of this. And you're so, for I do not know their limits. Right. So if I think into a particular way and that this person has to inside of this, that, or the other, but is it okay here? I had to define this. I mean, these ladies that are involved in this, I mean, do we have to come in close? Because this is delicately. 50% divorce. Does that agenda get resolved into this? Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. I can definitely see this being all part of that. So why would God do this? And his sovereignness, why would he allow Joseph to go through all that pain? Why? What they intended for harm, God intended. I see these tenets, okay? So it's happening here because we don't, and so then when I listen to Tommy Nelson talk, and it's all messed up. Just because the church would have said it at some particular time doesn't make it. In fact, it wasn't. We can look back and be critical, but here when we're stuck in it again, people like me come along, okay? Zwingli, Martin Luther, lots of people, different people. Martin Luther in a monastery, that's like jail, really. They let him come into a small room and they let him out, okay? Smart man, an attorney that his dad wanted him to be, and then he didn't want to do it, okay? I like that. But here then, this is fun and it's good. It's good. Maybe. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But to be pure and to trueness, boundaries. Okay. Email me, bader@baderout.com. We'll let it be at that. That's a little important pieces of information there. No, this is really too far along yet now, mind you, but let's find that verse. For I do not know their limits. That's good, but this is, ask beyond anything you can imagine. Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do much more, immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Maybe it's making me excited. Wow. I mean, we'll see. So the first jail happened when I was at a wrestling practice. I was surprised, went to bed, police knock on the door. No, we're here to arrest you. What? Are you serious? Yeah, yeah. Like, oh wait, I mean, then a few days later at like a little league baseball, I was talking to a police officer, not in uniform, but like off-duty guy, learning for the first time about PFAs and what? Oh yeah, they can just come get you. What? I mean, that's been quite some time ago now. 2013 or 12. That was an overnight. Relatively nice jail, Cumberland County. I remember what the cell looked like. I think they gave me a pad, and I think I fell asleep. Light was on. Wasn't very pleasant. In Colorado, in a hotel room, police knock on the door. They played Christian music on the way over. I had a bad shoulder. Could you? I think they let me. I think that was when I learned I need to ask for this because my shoulder, I dislocated. I'm shaking this arm, but it's really my left one. in college, and when you're handcuffed like this, it doesn't feel so good to that shoulder. And I think then they let me do that. I asked. I think we stopped. And they were nice guys. But then I was there for quite some time. And really, the story of that, look, I think we'll just look. You don't have to listen. I'll try to remember all the details, but this is what comes to mind. Like one time we went to a counseling event that was, and they would just say, "What comes to your mind?" It was interesting the things that came to my mind. I mean, all this time, what do I remember? I remember I had this black pair of running pants. Now, I was self-employed for 10 years. And basically, the best perk of that was I could wear shorts, boxers, loose fitting clothes, and flip flops, sandals every day. Every day. I haven't said to somebody not that long ago, now I'm in a job where I have to put on shoes. It's fine. It's fine. But I remember saying to this one guy not that long ago, like, there's basically no price I'm going to, there's nothing worth that to be able to be comfortable in flip flops. And sure enough, well, there's the price. I'm wearing shoes. But these particular pants were running pants, and they did not breathe. So my private areas, I would not wear these pants because my private areas would get so hot. I don't know about metabolism or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, even now with my shoes, it makes me wonder because like I can barely stand it. But now that I've left shoes on, like I get through the day, it's fine. But so it's for some reason, I guess it maybe in haste, but why did I pick those pants? No, because this was on a trip. Why did I wear those pants? Of all the luck that I had those pants on. I remember being totally uncomfortable. I remember thinking, why did I have those pants? And then you get into that, but that wasn't really when they really started to matter. Okay. So not when the police got me, but so then I was in this Colorado. What was the name of that town? Can I think of it? Colorado. I would have notes. If I would try harder, I could piece this even better together. Timelines and places. But it took them like 3 weeks till they got everything straightened out. I had to go into court at least. I think maybe just one time for me to say and talk. Like some kind of. I could have had the hearing there. You could get whatever it was. It was better to go back to Pennsylvania, I guess. I'm not really sure if that was the best. I think it was something I elected to do. They could have done it out there. Whatever. My attorney said, okay, so here we go. So what am I going to have to do? Am I going to have to? Because I was like, look, I got a plane ticket. Just let me go back. Like let me get on the plane and go home. I will go. Okay. No, we got to make it so miserable. I did not know what this was. So then, like when you go, you only got one outfit. So all my clothes, like somehow we had to get the stuff in the hotel back to my house, which people called and arranged all this. But you go in an outfit, and I had those black sweatpants on. They weren't sweatpants; they were running pants. And so, like, I was wait. So then, 3 weeks in the middle of the night, they call, and you get in, and then I'm waiting. It might have been even 45 minutes. Maybe it could have been an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know. Like the van showed up until it wasn't like nothing in jail is too fast. You're waiting around like, okay, like I'm ready now. Let's go. Whatever's happening. This is forward progress. My roommate was reasonably nice, and we were somewhat friends. And bye bye. I'll see you never. Like I did take his name, and even I could look this up. And one time I did on Facebook later, go back and find this guy. And I think maybe I sent him a note. And, I haven't talked to anybody. If I talk to anybody, no, I don't think I have. I'd still like to. There's different people that we'll see what stories we get to. And I think I remember thinking, like, these pants, I mean, what's the likelihood that on top of everything, I have these pants? I mean, what was I thinking? Why did this happen? So when we got in the van, I remember thinking, are we going to stop? That's what I think that was because it was late. I mean, I think they first of all called in the middle of the night to wake me up out of bed. And I think, yeah, I would have been mostly asleep. I think I was sleeping. And then they call me down. And of course, I mean, I'm jumping out of bed like, yeah, like you get, sometimes you just leap out, like get up in the morning and it's tougher. But sometimes when it's, well, I'm fully ready. Okay. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Let's go. Okay. But then we get in the van and I'm like, there was like 3 or 4 other guys that were shoved in the back of this white van, handcuffed. I think they put them on the front. They were being nice, but we got shackles and handcuffs. The one guy, remember, he didn't have his handcuffs on, and he somehow complained about his wrists were too big or something. So they guess they didn't care. I mean, you're in a van. What are you going to do? I guess is ultimately the truth. But he had been in something. He'd been extradited before, I believe. I think that's the word where you get shoved in a van and taken across different whatevers. But we didn't go in a straight line. But we'll go with where my mind is. So I had these, and my private areas, are hot. Okay. And I said to the guy, when are we going to stop? Like, what's going on here? What time do we like go to the hotel? Okay. I mean, oh, no, I mean, we're sitting up and different people. I mean, this is not luxury at all. Like, so for that 2 or 3 week stretch, was it 2 or 3? Was it a week? It was at least a week. From Colorado, whatever county I was in out there, to Cumberland County. First place we went was Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'd never been in New Mexico, let alone Albuquerque. And well, my physical body would have been in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, dropping somebody off. And then we went to different places. Oklahoma, I remember. We went to different jails. They did let us go to the bathroom. And one of the perks, well, I mean, is this a perk? But we got to eat McDonald's. Like, I did not have much expectation after I knew we weren't going to be stopping in any kind of a motel to sleep. So I slept with I had my flip-flops, I had those pants, those running pants, but I had flip-flops. So I took the flip-flop and I could push it around and that became my pillow, my flip-flops. Surprise hitting up kind of just like this. There were certain positions where I'm really comfortable. A technical gap there. But along with that, I'm going to say it a little more clear. My butthole needed to be wiped better. Okay. So I'm hot, and now we got wiping issues. I mean, sorry, I thought about this at work, and I'm just like, this is the truth. This is what I remember. And I remember it had gotten to the place where I was just in utter misery, utter misery. So we would stop at different jails, and then finally we stopped at this one courthouse. It makes me think of this computer game I used to play on my Apple IIc when I was a kid with my neighbor called Auto Duel. And you would be driving around to these different places, and you were just driving and you would stop in these different places. And that's what it felt like to be on this extradition adventure. Like, if whatever kind of I want to say utility, but that's not it. But public, so a jail would count, like some kind of federal. Some places, a courthouse was another place. We at least stopped at one, but there were several that we would stop and go to the bathroom, and they were nicer, of course, than the jail. Okay, but the thing is we got to this one place, and there was a lady there that was waiting for us. It's what do you do? I guess this happens. How many times did the prisoners come in? But you might think that, but the lady wasn't, basically like we were all normal people, which was appreciated. Like, I'm normal. we're having a tough time now, but anyway, I went up to this lady. I'm like, do you have any Vaseline? And I think I might have even told her, like, I just want you to know that my butt really hurts. Okay. I mean, it hurts down. I don't get into that. I'm not, but I did. I think I told her, and she had sympathy. I mean, was she an angel from God? I don't think so. Actually, I think she was just a really nice lady. But oh, I mean, that made the rest of the trip. I said at work yesterday, I said when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I said every day has a little flavor of happiness to it just because the Eagles won the Super Bowl. We were talking about the Cubs and Don Shula died, and we were trying to think about if he ever won the Super Bowl, and then we were thinking about the teams that didn't. And I said about the Cubs winning, and when they finally won, the next day people were mainly sad because anyway, it made me think about the Eagles. Like, I'm not going to be that guy. Like, if the Eagles never win the Super Bowl again, I'm still going to be able to die happy. Okay, because they did once. I mean, the Cubs had gone so long, it was generations that they had never seen the Cubs win ever. But that's how it felt to get Vaseline on my butthole. And when you think about that, hygiene in jail, they did this on the show. What's that show called? Orange is the New Black. They were talking about hair, in your private. This is just look. We're humans and we understand this, but this is kind of the like it's like when you drip. What do you call that? The water torture. Like, and they said that's like the. I've never done that, but like, how painful can that be? Just water dripping on your head. But after a while, it becomes like a torture. Well, I'm sorry, but that's kind of the same way it is when your butthole needs to be clean and you can't do it. Or like my nose hairs are growing. I mean, just I would spend time every morning after certain. I mean, I even keep track of this now in the spreadsheet. I start to check it. But when you're in jail for a certain amount of time, I mean, it's just that's what I would do. I'd pull the nose hairs because I can't. That grosses me out. But you can't. Like when I would get out of jail, that would be the most glorious thing. Like to get with a cuticle pair of scissors and trim my nose hairs. Like life now has returned to stability and all is well. Okay, not because I'm not in jail, but because I can trim my friggin' nose hairs. Really? Clip your fingernails. Now they do have fingernail clippers. So Colorado, I played cards and I played this game called 500. And in jail they play, is it called spades? It's basically the same kind of a game. So I had played enough of the 500 to be good at spades. I wanted to play all the time. Some of the guys got, they wanted to do some other things, and that's about the only game that I half like to do. I remember that. And I think there were three people out there that I remember. My roommate, and then I remember this guy, I think his name was Paul, and then I remember this other guy that he was a drug dealer and he had something on his fingers. I can't remember what they were. I can't remember what it said. You can read a word. And he was going from that was a county jail, and he was going to go to a state jail. In fact, we dropped him off in the van. When we went to this place and it wasn't the right place, and the guys were like, "Oh, Jesus, isn't the right place." I mean, we were like this, looked like a maximum security federal prison, and we went up, the guys, and they're like, "Oh no, no, this isn't the right place." We had to go like, "Come on, I would like to get to Cumberland County, please. Like, could you please follow the map?" This isn't like the lap of luxury back here. But come on now. Like, I did not. Could you give me the map? Let me try to find out. I will figure it out. Thank you. But he had a certain peace in his mind. He was going to go for 5 or some amount of years. And I just remember looking at him and thinking he really was in a peace of mind about what was going to happen to him. And I think he was going to take some classes. And somehow he had just kind of gotten it all straightened out. He was at a peace. I'm like, oh. And he was a nice guy. The Paul guy was, what was my memory of him? There was a guy in jail too, come to think of it, another guy that he drew sometimes in jail, and this doesn't happen too often, but I did see it twice, where people are pretty good at drawing, and so then you can trade that for some. It gets you into the vending system of little bits of junk that you can get in jail. And he gave it to me, and I think he would have been he was nice, but he was also an evangelist, kind of poor theology, but we had a prayer meeting, and he's not the only guy that would get on these little, out there campaigns of righteousness, which were kind of on point. Yeah. It was pleasant. At some level, there was a pleasantness. The van was not pleasant. So after all of that, then I was in and out of jail. I remember going to Cumberland County and seeing the guard or somebody that seemed to have known me from being in court there. Sympathetic eyes. Hey, I guess those guys see this all the time. Let me get my marker so I realize what I was saying. Who says we did that? I think I talked about this. How about this? No, that didn't happen. Did that happen? How did that happen? Okay, well, this is fine. So then so in Colorado, jail was normal, and then we got to Cumberland County, and somehow they would have asked me this, I'm sure. Maybe I was in quarantine. I don't really remember. Probably. I remember I was in this, basically with quarantine, they take a TB test. It's some kind of ridiculous excuse to put you in total, seclusion, isolation, or whatever for a couple days. And that's not so fun. You're just by yourself. So I got into Gen Pop, these words I don't really want to know but do, in Colorado. But then when I went to Cumberland County, till that, I described that as quick, but it actually wasn't. It was a weekend because somehow we got there on Friday, and that meant it was till Mondays. And then they asked me these questions, and I mean I was pretty low. Like one of them, I can't imagine anybody goes through these questions, because then you get into this, what do they call it? Some kind of, where you're a high risk for suicide, they think. So they put you in, like, what do they call it? Some kind of jumpsuit or jumpsuit. You can't. It's not. It's not clothes. It's some kind of a thing. No pants. I mean, you're just kind of dangling there. Not the most pleasant thing. Plus, you're just completely identified as some kind of freak out. Like, I'm not suicidal. But the question, I think they do it to just completely embarrass you or whatever, humiliation, like the dunce hat, even having the jumpsuit on. It just doesn't feel good to like be clothed in guilt. I remember that jumpsuit. And there was a guy at the time, I don't remember who he was, but there was somebody that was in the news as particularly bad. And he was in there. I never saw him, but I think me and him were the guys with the jumpsuit. I think. We were in this, he was in, I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense that he would be, but come on now. How about this for an abased verse? Psalm 69:33. The Lord hears the needy and does not despise his captive people. Okay, I'm going to try this again in this psalm. I read it at work in whatever version the Gideon Bible is. And so the words are failing me because I like. The Lord hears the poor and does not despise his prisoners. Psalm 69:33. So one of the three, my website for Beta Rocks, basically on, well, I guess I didn't look at it, but I think it should be done this week. I thought it might be done today, but I didn't look at it. Who knows? It's very close. But the three things that I put on there for the distinctions is a based, abounding, and church discipline. Those are three ways to basically say how Beta Rock is different than other. These are my methods. They're different. That a based living is so important. I think mainly in American society, we want God to be an asset in our life. We're a good person, and this shows us why. Like it's to make us, we want to live the rich, full American dream life. That's basically America. Okay. And I have abounding to get into that, but I believe that the Bible teaches very clearly that the God is to be first, and He will strip you down to keep anything above you. So we're not. God is not a badge to put onto yourself. He is God who wants you to bow to Him. And jail was every bit the abased place. But here is a verse here that just speaks right into this. The Lord hears the captive and needy and does not despise, the Lord hears the poor and does not despise his prisoners. I like my 8 dimensions of wellness for abounding, but I wrote this down because this can, I mean, abased living and to eventually have parishioners or people under me or how to get into this. And I haven't minded talking to people about the 8 dimensions, but I'm feeding into the abounding side when I absolutely believe that Matthew 6:33 into this whole thing that you got to trust God first. God's got to be first. And what a good evidence that he is first is when you're content in abased places. Jail was a perfect training ground for abased. And I'm interested to look at future Beta Rock church members and know what to do to feel, is this something we can check? Can we do things? I mean, you're not going to go to jail, but how do we do that and mean it? But this verse is simply just, I'm thinking about jail, and here we are reading a verse, but it gets to which is good, on its own. Okay. But I'm wrapping it into just the thought, too, that a base is a part of Beta Rock Church, and jail certainly stands as, jail. It's jail, comprehensive to, 5, 6, 7 times, however many times it was. 2 long ones. Well, 3. That week was more than an overnight. But 3 months was quite some time. So we're going to keep going. We did not make it so far. There's stories to come, and I think it'd be good for me to go through them, have it documented. God willing, maybe I can even find some dates. Maybe I'll look a little bit. All right. Are you ready to take a step of lordship and a full surrender? That is the Beta Rock call to close out every message. Are you willing to go to jail? What do we say to this? This is really more my story, but it gets at things. Like I said, when I think back on where, just think on, take a step back to the Bible or whatever here, to the Exodus passage, when the oppression comes, being in these low places. Simply, are you ready to take a step of lordship and a full surrender? If so, email me, beta@betarock.com. Lord, give us a good day ahead. Help us to think on the power of the abased life, that it's okay. Okay. You hear us. Thank you for these promises. You hear us when we are needy and poor, and you do not despise your prisoners. In Jesus' name, be with us. Amen.